Hi, Stephen Lee, I'm with the FCC. Lee Browning, you talk over the FCC. Are you the guy with the transmitter?
I am the resident of this property.
You're the resident of this property. Okay. Well, what we're here for is obviously the transmitter. And typically what we do is once we find out who's responsible for it, we request to inspect it.
Okay.
Now that's not required, but it is preferred on our part, simply because we like to see what we're dealing with. And a lot of this equipment's coming in the country illegally, and we're trying to stop that.
Interesting.
The other part of it is the responsibility of the operators,
I see.
or operator or operators. Right now, the only operator we have is Nate here.
I was here sitting in when they came and got
I
me.
can guarantee you
when they showed up.
that Nate is not an operator.
I was sitting in, they showed up. I didn't let them in.
Okay.
They told
Do
me
you
my
have
rights.
ID on you?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. Then how do I know you live here?
Well, I guess you just have to take an order for it.
Okay. Well, could I have your name, please? Last name? Could you spell that for me? Okay. And you live here at the...
Yes, sir.
And that's... Okay. Typically what we're doing right now with these type cases is you cooperate with us, shut the transmitter off. The transmitter's already been shut off. This other gentleman did that for us. Keep the transmitter off the air. We're going to issue what's called a warning letter, a notice of unlicensed operation. It says that basically we caught the station on the air. It's above the limits for a non-licensed operation.
Okay.
And requires a license. As far as
What,
he knew, there was no license. As far as we know, there is no license.
What?
Do you know of any license for this station here?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay.
What was your signal strength reading?
All I can tell you is above 250 microvolts at 3 meters. We obviously didn't measure it at 3 meters because we can't get 3 meters from the antenna.
Okay, so did you get that?
The limit is 250 microvolts per meter, measured at a distance with a field strength meter measured at a distance of 3 meters from the antenna.
Okay. Do you know what?
We measure at much greater distance, and then we extrapolate back to if we were actually measuring it at 3 meters.
Okay, but you don't have the information of what the field.
I don't have it right now written down. We have to fill out a spreadsheet, and it calculates how far away we were, and then it extrapolates all that back for us.
And that works even though the field of propagation will not be even over all areas.
That's correct. Theoretically it works 100%. In real world, works probably at least to 90-95%. And we're not quibbling with you. I mean, we're not saying your limit was 250 and you were 255. We're saying your limit was 250 and you were 5,000. So, you know, you're grossly over the limit. So, you know, we don't try to quibble because we don't want to go to court and have somebody quibble plus or minus 5%. That's not what we're worried about.
It's just for my own recognizance.
Okay, no problem. So if the transmitter goes off the air and does not come back on the air, we issue, like I said, these notice of unlicensed operations to anybody we feel responsible. In this case, it'd be anybody at this
I'm not talking
transmitter.
about like a handheld.
And then
No, it's not a phone.
we'd like to know who the transmitter was.
I got a good watch.
To issue him one also. Because we don't want to come back in 2 weeks and the transmitter's, 3 houses down and we got to do all this over again.
I'm sure you
So
don't.
we'd like to go ahead and get this thing off the air now and leave it off the air.
All right.
The notice will stipulate the federal law that this violates, will stipulate the penalties involved, and request the transmitter be removed from the air.
Okay.
Even though technically it's already off the air, we know that.
Right.
It's just the way we word the official notices. You're allowed to respond to the official notice, but you don't have to respond to it.
Okay. So no notice of forfeiture. It's just
No notice of forfeiture at this point. If somebody came back on the air with it, then yes, if we'd come back and we try to relate it back to the people we knew were operating it before.
You go to a judge.
And well, actually we wouldn't even do that. We do it administratively. We issue the fine, and it's called, and what's called, it's like a ticket.
Yeah. Okay.
It's in what's called a notice of apparent liability. And it says you are apparently liable for a forfeiture in this amount for violating Section 301 of the Communications Act.
Okay.
You're allowed then to write back and say, no, I shouldn't be because here's the situation. We then judge what you've said. We make a decision then to either cancel the forfeiture, reduce it, or uphold it.
All right.
And you can do that. Like I said, you can answer it. You can ignore it. If you ignore it, we'll just issue the forfeiture order.
Okay.
So the forfeiture order is separate from the notice of land. That is where we actually say, yeah, we do think you're guilty of this violation, and this is the amount you need to pay. And then if it's not paid, we'll take you to federal court. They'll file a lawsuit on you in civil federal court to collect it. That's basically how it works. Well, at this point, would you allow me to inspect the transcript?
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Okay. You want to tell me who the transmitter belongs to?
Afraid I can't do that either.
Okay.
Sorry, but you know how it is.
Well, I know. I'll go ahead and give you one of my cards here, just so you know who you're talking to. Wow, giving away all of them today.
Been making a lot of visits today.
A few.
Go to any of the GCN guys?
Not today.
Oh yeah. Do you usually have to come out and deal with them?
Yeah. Well, we deal with any operator that's on the air without authority
Right.
that we know of. I mean, we don't spend a lot of time just perusing the band. We've got enough trouble to deal with
Right, I'm
answering
sure
people
you're-
that complain.
I'm sure
And there
you're
was a complaint
complaint-driven
against the station.
organization.
Right.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the complaint against the station, please?
The complaint was actually kind of an offhand thing while I was up giving a speech to a group of broadcasters. And one of the radio engineers walked by, because we during this presentation I gave, we discussed pirate radio stations.
This would be at the TAB conference?
Yes.
Yes.
And he walked by and he said, well, do y'all know about 95.9? And I said, well, no, I don't. We hadn't. He said, well, he said, Chaos is back on the air. I said, oh, okay. Well, I wasn't involved with Chaos here 6, 7 years ago, whenever it was they were on the air here. That was the previous guy in my spot.
What
And
was?
then, so, I had to go back and research through the files we had at the office. And yeah, there was a Chaos station here in town on 95.9, and then y'all went to the internet and stayed on the internet. And of course, we don't regulate the internet radio stations, so that's all cool with us. We don't care.
For your notes, the 95.9 FM that has been operating recently is not Chaos. It's an independent station.
Okay.
It's not affiliated with the internet radio station.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Well, it's carrying the same signal, and we really don't care one way or the
Syndicated
other.
content.
All we really care about is the operator and requesting that the station go off the air. That's kind of what we're looking at.
Having heard your speech, sir, at the TAB conferences, and in talking about they're essentially complaint-driven, and acknowledging that they're pretty common on licensed stations in this day and age, how common would you say, as the enforcement officer for Texas, how common are unlicensed stations?
It's really hard to say. I couldn't relate that to anything that would make sense as far
A
as
number?
Well, what kind of number? A number for what?
How many stations have you taken down in Texas in the last 3 years?
At least 6.
Honestly, that information should be available on the Enforcement Bureau website. Correct?
Usually, yes.
Okay.
It depends on what we do. As a follow-up to everything else that's going on.
Man, you are missing
what
it.
we'll
Lloyd
typically
and
do
Bill
now,
are right
since the
here in
station is
front
off
of
the
me.
air, we've conducted our business here.
Way.
Is we will issue,
Right now. You want to hear Lloyd?
I
Here,
don't
listen to
know
Lloyd.
yet who my boss is going to want me to issue notices to.
Right.
Definitely you, since you're the last person I spoke to
Sure.
with some authority about the station, will issue what's called a notice of unlicensed operation.
Okay.
It's just an official warning that says, hey, this is against the law, this is what we saw, don't do it anymore. Here are the penalties if you continue to do it or if you do it again.
Right.
You can reply to that, but you're not required to.
Okay.
So expect that in the mail. Thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good day, sir.
Gentlemen, have a good drive
All right.
back to Houston.
All right.
Dallas.
Oh, you in Dallas or Houston these days?
There's an office in Dallas. We're out there.
All right.
Yeah, they're out
Is
of
it common law or constitutional law?
It's administrative law.
South of the loop, tell my grandparents I said hi.
Now say something. Keep reading.
Yeah, man, I was sitting in, and these dudes really gave me a nice little welcome. I was dedicating something out to people that, you know, feeling the hard times of life. I was like, dude, we were just on top of it last week, but here we are down low, and that's the way the belly sags on a broke back motherfucking well.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, they showed up on me, man. Brought 2 popos with them too, man, with tasers and all.
When this is APD?
Oh yeah, they brought 2 APD members, and you know, I was a sit-in operator, and proud to do it. But
What was the last song on the air?
Hellhounds on my trail. Robert Johnson.
There you go.
Hellhounds on my trail. Hellhound tour.
Okay,
Straight
hold on.
up though, but I dedicated it to everybody having hard times and like trying to just get through some shit, man. You know.
Yeah.
We're just trying to uplift people.
Yeah.
And you know, I can understand soccer moms being worried about like a kid flipping through this and that, but I'll tell you this right now, Twitty and Twitty Dom didn't have shit on this com. I banged millions out.
Excellent.